This is an interesting character of Angela Rayner, very popular among her party supporters, but heavily criticised by her opponents for her accent, education and upbringing, making her the complete opposite of Jacob Rees-Mogg, who is popular among his party supporters, but heavily criticised by his opponents for his accent, education and upbringing. Yeah, I see a pattern here. I think she's kind of trying to become the Mogg of Labour, and to be quite honest, may well succeed. She's an interesting person. Got an interesting and inspiring backstory, although not necessarily the most ideal backstory for a political career. I initially just thought she was another part of the crazy Corbyn gang with Abbott and McDonnell, but then I saw this article. Labour's Angela Rayner refuses to sign Corbyn allegiance pledge as demanded by Momentum. I mean, the headline may be overly dramatic, but an allegiance pledge. How many Tories have had to sign an allegiance pledge to Theresa May? Well, absolutely none, obviously. Despite how unpopular she is, that's just completely unnecessary, which just goes to show how ridiculous the Labour Party is becoming. I want to transform society into a different one. Yeah, that's kind of what literally everybody else doesn't want, but okay. His face looks kind of familiar. Ah, yes, that's what it reminds me of. The leading frontbencher. Yeah, she's quite popular. Tipped as a future Labour leader. No, she didn't go to university. You can't be a party leader unless you go to university. Full stop. Sorry. I mean, she's a very respectable person, but I just don't see it happening. Said attempts to purge moderate Labour politicians by Momentum was heartbreaking and not the way forward for the party. Momentum, set up to show support for Jeremy Corbyn, following a shock rise to leadership, is ordering Labour parliamentary candidates to swear allegiance to the leader if they want their support. This sounds kind of surreal, doesn't it? I mean, why is a major party in one of the world's leading liberal democracies forcing its members to swear allegiance to the leader? I'm not the slightest bit surprised, though. He tries to come across as working class, and is far too good to be true. He even wears a flat cap like Lenin sometimes. Miss Rayner told The Times, "I'm not Momentum, I'm not Progress, I'm not Trade Union, I'm a Labour MP to represent all of my constituents." Good for you. Any factionalism in the Labour Party will damage us and remove us from getting their power, which ultimately damages the people that need our support. Exactly. It damages the people, but socialists don't care about people, they just care about their idea. It's not about people. They delude themselves that it's about people, but it isn't. It's about the idea. Fortunately, this means we don't actually have anything to worry about, because it will just mean the Tories are in power for the next few decades. Actually, yeah, that is something to worry about, but at least it won't be socialists. The 13-point political accord for Momentum-backed candidates asks candidates to work to ensure the Labour manifesto, subject to future policy development, possibly regarding whether or not having two legs is a good thing, is fully implemented once Labour are in government. The signed contract, described by critics as Stalinist, you don't say, says members will commit to revitalise the Labour Party by building on the values, energy and enthusiasm, read emotion, of the Jeremy for the Leader campaign. Corbyn's fan club has been accused of trying to purge moderate MPs. Has been accused. It's not an accusation, it's a statement of fact. And councillors who are insufficiently supportive of Mr. Corbyn. Insufficiently supportive. That's ridiculous. You must support completely. Labour's becoming a cult. It literally is becoming a cult now, surrounded over one person's personality. Do we want this cult of personality to run the country? I don't know. You decide for yourself. As Rayner added, trying to deselect and get rid of people's voices is not a way forward. No, it actually isn't, oddly enough. It's called fascism. We have this. Yes. Look at that man's disgusting, slimy, fake face, honestly. Ugh. Our MPs have absolute right to be there and have their voices heard, and so do our councillors, who do a tremendous job. I'm liking her more and more by the minute, honestly. They've had 7 years of austerity, managing the decline when the central government have cut their money, but they are always thinking about how they can support their communities and do the right thing. Momentum is already exerting a tight grip on Labour. Tight grip. Yes. Its numbers have continued to swell since Labour conference, adding 1,500 new members to its books. The group now claims to have 31,000 members across the country. That's a ridiculous number. The rise of Momentum has seen long-serving councillors who have spent years doing their public duty are now being forced out of their positions. by Labour's radical left. Councillors across the country have been deselected in a vote of local members or have faced pressure to announce they do not intend to reselect election. In Haringey, North London, 10 Labour councillors have stood down or lost a seat they hope to contest to a more left-wing candidate. It comes after party grandee Roy Hattersley warned Labour is facing its greatest ever crisis as the extreme left-wing pressure group Momentum tries to launch a systematic takeover of the party. Well, that's vaguely interesting, isn't it? Not the slightest bit surprising. The authoritarianism is coming. It's having to happen. And the reason why is socialism is such a stupid idea that logic isn't good enough to persuade people. Coercion, threats, throwing people out and silencing them is necessary. I imagine this is a very unhappy experience for those councillors involved, and if this kind of thing gets into power, this couldn't just be a party thing. This could be what happens to our nation. And I'm not joking either. If you just look at history, it's not as safe as you think it is.